Well, welcome to the Wizard Life, and in another episode, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you can see all the Wizard life, adventure, coaching, all of those things in once. So, Wizard, let's talk about a topic of business.
Okay.
So, in the topic of business, what do you, first of all, think? Let's say there's some potential people out there, wits, as you have called them, wizards in training, who would like to know more about how they might want to start a business. So knowing that, what would you suggest that they think about to become business owners or not become business owners?
Good question, Lou. I would say that the first thing that we need to do is we need to discover our life vision, why we were put on this planet.
Okay, so how do they, so if I'm hearing you right, use their gifts and then elevate them to help society.
Gifts and passions. And so what you do is you take a white sheet of paper, doesn't have to be this big, just a blank white sheet of paper, draw a circle in on that white sheet of paper. Around that circle, list everything that you're passionate about. And then at the center of all of our passions is our life vision. So it's like our life vision is unique. It's not like, to help people. Nothing's wrong with doing that. If that's your life vision, that's what your life vision is. But it's something, the more specific you can be with your life vision, the more power, the more force, the more magical wizard powers that you will have in being able to accomplish that. And so list everything you're passionate about. If you're not sure what those are, talk to people around you and say, what do you think I'm passionate about? So sometimes people don't know what they're passionate about. And it doesn't have to be really passionate. It could be chocolate or golf, anything. It doesn't have to be significant. Just what are you passionate about? Then have somebody, hopefully that's a wizard in training, helping you to go through and write a sentence or a paragraph on what your life vision is. The website DNA for Life Laws, DNAFOR life-laws.com is Life Masters Institute and Legacy Partners nonprofit organization. They're a phenomenal organization. So they can help you in discovering your life vision. Now, once you discover your life vision and what you're passionate about, then look and say in the marketplace, where can I take my passions, my life vision, and where can I apply it to the marketplace to generate an economic engine? So that's what I would do to get started, but that's the next step after that is once we've identified that, then it's to have an engine, what's called a BOSS, a business operating system. It's the engine that runs our business. We earn the money we earn, work the hours we work, have the stress, because even a wizard's, you know how expensive all this stuff is? Like, it's crazy. Like, you got to have a lot of economic engine to be a wizard. And so the BOSS is the business operating system. It's the engine that runs our business. We earn the money we earn, work the hours we work, have the stress we do or don't have because of the engine in our business. There are three elements to that engine. It's the DNA for people. That's the personality masteries, the different shapes, and the science for understanding people. So
let's slow that down. Tell people just a little bit about that so they learn about the personalities.
So there are four major personalities, just like, in everything, Myers-Briggs and the DISC and all of that kind of stuff. But when you use the DNA for people, that's the system the wizard uses. So I use that system, so you'll want to use that system, obviously. That identifies somebody's personality in 17 seconds, and it's 65,536 possible combinations. I think once you identify somebody's personality, their strengths, weaknesses, what they like, what they don't, turns them on, turns them off, if they're married, who they're married to.
Slow it down just a little bit. Go ahead.
So, Lou, again, he has demonstrated that he does not listen to rule number 1. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to absolutely connect, because did you know where the most powerful medication, most powerful drugs are on the planet?
In the pharmacy?
No, not even close. It's in your head.
Ah.
It's in your head. So when the wizard, see what I'm doing to all of you is when I'm talking fast like that,
yes,
That's seducing all of you and mesmerizing all of you and putting you all into a hypnotic trance to be able to just follow my direction, do what I tell you to do, when I tell you to do, how I tell you to do, and do it with a great, attitude.
I was just confused by it.
Yes.
So for all of those who are wits, you got it, wizard in training, like myself, could you slow it down for people like me so that we can get it to people like us?
Okay. So once you, that'd be you. That'd be Luke. Identify someone's personality. Then, that'd be you and you, you will be able to understand their strengths, weaknesses. You will understand what they like, what they don't like. You will understand their, you'll understand what they're, why they're successful. You'll understand why they're not successful.
Mm.
You'll understand if they're married, who they're married to. You will understand the strengths and weaknesses in the marriage. When you learn personality masteries, people will think you're a wizard.
Is there a test, wizard?
There are, again, Life Masteries Institute, nonprofit organization. They have courses that you can take. There's seminars. But again, if it's not through Life, like all of the training I do
Yes.
is all through, Life Masteries. And obviously, they have specialized training for wizards, so you're not able to go through the training I'm going through. But they do have training for the common people too. Or the next higher level is going to be the wits. So there's training for them as well. And so you can become certified in being a personality masteries wizard and being able to do that. So, imagine you talking to somebody and in seconds knowing all of that information about them.
That'd be a bonus.
Right, and it gets even more funky than that, because if you have somebody that is let's say a man, let's say in his 50s, let's say who's a deep expressive personality but has strong analytic, tendencies, why is that?
And you'll know all of those answers.
You know the answers because it's often because his dad was the firstborn. So that's really freaky. You get on the phone with somebody, you're talking to him for, a minute, and then you say, your dad's not like a firstborn child, is he? And they're like, how did you know that? I'm a wizard. Like, hello. And so once you know all of that about an individual, the DNA for people, the personality masteries, that gives you an understanding. So what causes one personality pain gives another personality pleasure.
Got it.
And so you can see how, so what causes us to be attracted to one another is the very things once we get married that push us apart. If we don't understand the science of that, well, that's not going to work so good, for, the parties, involved.
So back to their passions. So what do you suggest that they do to find out if they would be in business and their business would be good for them and be productive for them?
Well, if somebody's, doing their passions, it's going to be good for them. That's what they were designed to do. So that it's going to be good. The thing isn't if it's good. The hardest thing is how do you find an economic engine? How do you build the economic? How do you turn your passions into, making money?
So how do you do that?
So the first element is the DNA for people, because whenever you're making money, you always have to learn how to deal with people. And so if you learn how to deal with people and you have systems in place, you can take whatever your passion, your products and services, and you can present them to the marketplace, to the 65,536 possible combinations, and you can help them to understand how your product or service will bring value to them. And so that's the DNA for people. The DNA for business is the 530 grid. Now when Tom Coons, most recent past president of Century 21, largest real estate franchise in the world, Like, and he helped raise over $100 million for Easter Seals. Like, he is a wizard. Like, he's amazing. When he saw the 530 grid the first time, he's like, oh my gracious. He's like, wizard, I don't think you understand what you have here.
So how do people get to see the 530 grid?
They can do what's called a complimentary, it's a gift, there's no charge for it, through Life Masteries Institute and Legacy Partners, a 30-minute strategy session, and you can go to www.dna4success.com, dna4success.com, go to examination, and then go to free strategy session, and then there's a 3-minute survey that you can fill out, and it'll look at your personality and a few other things, so you can do that. Or if you want a more comprehensive strategy session, or you're already in business or whatever, you can go to the more advanced strategy session survey. It takes a little bit longer, but well worth a little extra investment of time to do that. And then somebody will look over that information and connect with you and schedule, a strategy session.
There you go. Wizard, anything else?
Well, the third DNA, so we didn't go over the 530 grid. We can do that in another segment. Or the DNA for Life. The DNA for Life is the most, it's the coolest. There's over 500 natural laws that have been discovered in the last 28 years. See, wizards are different because the wizards are the most, humble, creature on the planet. Like, you probably noticed that. That's one of the...
I think it shows.
It does. I mean, it's very clear how humble I am. And so the reason they're humble is they realize that the more you know you don't know. See, if you're really thinking, like when you think about everything in the universe, like how much do we know? Like nothing. But when you look at specialized people like CPAs or doctors, anybody who's highly educated, they often think they're smart, and that gets them into trouble. So did you know what doctors call Cessna airplanes?
Tell me.
Flying coffins.
Okay.
Because, where do you find, where do I learn this stuff? Only a wizard knows these random facts of, genius. And so a doctor, literally, like Randy Eicherman, he's a CPA, and he had a client that was a doctor and almost died in a plane accident because the doctor, doctors think they're good and they're smart. So they're like, well, if I'm smart and I can operate on somebody, then I can go out and fly an airplane. And so CPA is the same thing, doctor. Anybody that has a lot of education
could be dangerous.
Could be dangerous because they're not that smart. Often not even in the field they're chosen. But anyways, that's another story. But they're definitely not smart in other areas, but they think it just kind of, seeps throughout everything. And so in the 530 grid, we'll talk about that. But the DNA for Life, the natural laws, those govern everything. And so wizards, what they do is they really think about things. They think and they say, I wonder why. They're like small children. You probably observe that. I'm not like a 54-year-old wizard or 540-year-old wizard. It's not that. I'm like a 3-year-old boy. I'm very curious. When something happens, when somebody does something strange, which often is not the case with any human beings or wits, because they're not really, small children though, they go ahead, they're curious. They're wondering, why mommy? Why does this happen? And so adults aren't like that. Wizards don't like to be around adults so much because they think they're so smart, but they're really not. Right. They're really stupid. Not you, audience, of course. You're amazing. You're absolutely spectacular. Otherwise, you wouldn't be part of this, group. If you're part of the Wizards group, you're obviously really smart. That's where we're just like every other group. If you're part of a group, that, you're smart because the group's going to tell you you're smart and you buy into it. That way you can keep in the group. Anyways. So the natural laws...
Hold on back in.
The natural laws govern all of life. And when we understand the natural laws, we're able to move whole groups of people. It's crazy. Does that answer your question?
It answers the question. Okay. And if it didn't answer the question, you can go in the comments. The wizard will fire off the answers right back.
Well, not the wizard. Because the wizard...
Or he won't fire off the questions back to you.
Right. I mean, it'll be a wit or somebody. I mean, somebody that's being trained. Somebody will serve you in the most amazing way. You might think it's the wizard. I mean, if you like the answer and you think it's really smart, then it's the wizard that did it. If you hate the answer and you want to shoot them, well, then it's probably my trusty assistant, Luke. So if it's smart, it's the wizard. If it's not smart, it's one of the wits.
Possibly our next episode on gun control.
Oh, I know a lot about it. I'm an expert in gun control.
So we will talk to you on the next episode. Thanks for watching.